Hey Hunters, Halazu here for a quick video looking at the new Unearthed Arcana from D&D. So it is about time. We are finally getting one that is just updated subclasses. Now, my first note, yeah, this should have happened much earlier. We should have been getting way more of this, not a bunch of new stuff. However, I do get why a lot of the new stuff has been coming. For example, we're getting a new class, so obviously that's got a lot of new stuff. There's Dark Sun, of course, which does need a bunch of new stuff. A lot of the other stuff is kind of but I'm glad we're finally getting one that's just updates. Yes! So we've got 5. I'm only going to go over the first 2. So we're going to get the Barbarian ones, and, well, I might do 3. We'll see. But let's get into it. So we have the Spiritual Guardian, aka Ancestral Guardian. So they got a slightly tweaked name. And we see a lot of updates. So Spiritual Protectors, renamed from Ancestral Protectors. It has some new stuff going on with it, and has been given a massive facelift, which is great. Spirit Shield now has some scaling with rage damage bonus. Don't mind not accidentally hit something. So that's nice. And it's also the same for Spiritual Protectors too, by the way. And then Vengeful Spirits has been redesigned as basically, it's a new feature replacing Vengeful Ancestors. So let's get into Spiritual Protectors. What does this do? While your rage is active, when you hit a creature with a weapon or unarmed strike, it becomes a target of the spirit, and you do one of the following. So immediately you'll notice this isn't just the first enemy you hit. No, it's every time you hit a creature, which means, as I'm reading it, if you hit a creature multiple times, you will do multiple effects on that target. This leads to an immediate, okay, maybe this should not stack. Specifically, it should not stack on the same target, because of one of the abilities that is probably not something that should be stackable. However, let's get into them. First, we have Distract. Essentially, this is the taunt ability you had before. So basically, when you hit someone, it is disadvantage against anyone other than you or another barbarian with the feature. So basically, hey, you're targeting me or else. And then we've got Protect. So, whenever it hits a creature other than you with an attack, it is resistance to that damage. So, essentially, it now does less damage. Good to pair with Distract, and then there is Strike, which is just extra damage. Now, one critique I do have, I'm not the biggest fan of having this just be elemental stuff. It's kind of weird where I would personally put like Necrotic and Radiant here instead of the elemental damage types. It feels kind of random that they've got Acid, Cold, Fire, Lightning, and Thunder. Force, I think, is fine, but it is weird to have the other 6 there for some reason. Especially because of the other one we're getting, where I feel like the elemental aspect could probably be cut. But I do like it. However, this should probably not be usable multiple times a turn, because that's just going to lead to some pretty high amounts of damage. So I would say it should probably be one that hasn't been chosen for that target this turn. So essentially, if you hit a target multiple times while raging, then you have to choose different effects. So if you hit them 3 times, you'll do each effect once. And you can't just, do 3 strikes and do a bunch of extra damage. Then we have Spirit Shield. So, while your rage is active, when another creature in 30 feet takes damage, you can roll d6s equal to your rage damage bonus and reduce the damage by that amount. So, yeah, that is actually really, really strong. Might be a bit too strong, actually, looking at it. But, it's definitely good. I'm just surprised it's so powerful. Though it does kind of make the resistance feature a bit redundant, so I'm not entirely sure if it should stay the way it is. Level 10, then we get Consult the Spirits, which was untouched. So essentially you get Augury or Clairvoyance. And you can do them this once per short or long rest, so kind of powerful, but it's 2 utility spells. It's nothing amazing, so there's that. It's kind of just there. Then we get Vengeful Spirits. So what this one does is, when you make an attack roll with a melee weapon part of the attack action, and roll an 18 to 20, so it doesn't have to be a crit, you can make an additional attack roll with the same weapon as part of the action. And you can't do this again until the start of your next turn. So do keep in mind, this does work on opportunity attacks as well, but it's very cool where it's like, oh, did you roll good? Okay, get more attacks. Which is definitely cool to have. Also why I mentioned the 3 attacks earlier. Not just because of dual wielding builds. So, yeah. All in all, I think it's very good. However, I do question Spirit Shield and Protect being on the same deal. Kind of being redundant with each other. And Strike repeatability, but I think it's fine as a build. It's certainly looking better than the kind of workable, but kind of bland older version. So then we get the Storm Herald. So there are only 2 changes listed. To Storm Aura and Raging Storm. So Storm Aura now scales with rage damage bonus, and Tundra is now a damage reduction instead of temporary hit points, which, fair enough, I guess. Raging, so it still kind of does the same thing, just a different way, which is neat. Then Raging Storm has the environment stuff redesigned, so Desert will burn, Sea will chain the lightning, and Tundra deals cold damage. So what does Storm Aura do? It's 10-foot emanation when you rage, choose it each time. And you can repeat this effect as a bonus action. So Desert, just do d4 is equal to rage damage, add them together, and each creature in the aura must do a dex save or take fire damage equals the number rolled. None on a success, but you can choose a creature to automatically succeed. So definitely a nice one. It is an all or nothing ability, but I don't mind that on repeatable ones. Especially one where it's like it's targeting a bunch of people at once, so that's fine. Then the C one is a bunch of D6s, and the target, one creature in the aura takes lightning damage equal to that amount, or half on a successful dex save. So, I will immediately note, I think this might need to be D8s instead of D6s, though looking at it, it does do half damage on a successful save, so it's more consistent at least. I'm just not sure if a D6 is enough of an upgrade over the Desert one, which is hitting multiple targets for similar damage. So I'm not 100% sure they're balanced with each other just yet. Then Tundra, essentially you just roll a bunch of d4s, choose a creature, and it has to make a strength save or subtract that amount from the next damage roll it makes. So essentially just you're doing less damage now, buddy. Which is neat, actually. Definitely a useful one to have. Though it is annoying it's on a strength save, which may need to change. Because strength saves tend to be very high, so unfortunately it's not always going to work against the targets you really want to debuff. Though do note, this works on spells, which is neat. So that Tundra and Sea might need a bit of work. Desert, I think, is mostly fine. Storm Soul was pretty much unchanged. Desert, resistance to fire damage, and as a magic action, you can set an object on fire. Sea, resistance to lightning damage, and you can breathe underwater and have a swim speed. Tundra, resistant to cold damage, and as a magic action, you can freeze a bunch of water. So, nothing incredible. Sea is easily the best. It is a bit weird, though, because they didn't mention it, but it's changed to essentially be, like, when you rage, it changes your mode to what option you last used. And actually looking at it, this lasts through long rests. So, if you, say, went into Siege, or Sea Rage the day before, you'll wake up still in Sea Rage mode, or with the Sea mode active, which is interesting. Then 10th, Shielding Storm. Creatures in your Storm Aura have resistance to the damage type as well. Nothing amazing, but it's there. But it is annoying that you will usually find that most of the time when the resistance is hard to use, because most of the time if you're in the mode to use the ability, but creatures that often utilize a damage type will often have resistance to it. So do keep that in mind, but it should also be noted, this is a massive buff for the desert mode. Because if you have a bunch of allies, you're now going to hurt them way less. Even with only one to give a free pass to. So that's cool. Raging Storm. So the effects are now, so Desert, once per turn. When a creature fails a save on the Storm Aura effect, you make it burn for a minute, and it just takes d4 fire damage from burning. So it's a maximum of a total of 2d4. So, of course, it can end burning as normal. So it's neat to see that burning is being used on an ability, which is something very new, actually, which is cool to see. So then for Sea mode, basically whenever it's targeted, you target something with the lightning bolt. You can choose another creature in 30 feet of that target, and it has to do the same save. So essentially just you chain lightning between two targets. Cool. Then Tundra. Once per turn, when a creature fails the save against the Storm Aura, it takes 2d4 cold damage and is slowed by half. So, definitely a great new effect. I certainly like it. It's nice. It's still a bit weak as a single target, all or nothing, but it is repeatable, so it doesn't matter too much. But I do like it, and yeah, it's a nice ability, though. The Storm Soul effect being tied to what rage you've activated last, I think I think that could be reverted to, like, basically each day you choose which mode you're in, so it's separate to that choice, but oh well, I get what they're going for. I think they've done fine with both of the barbarians. There's some refinement that might need to go into it, but this is surprisingly good. It took two kind of cool subclasses and has made them just a bit better. Yeah, I think I got a bit of time. So we'll do the Cavalier Fighter as well. So the changes are very simple. Unwavering Mark has unlimited uses. And Ferocious Charger is redesigned to be a burst of speed the first round of combat. So you still get the bonus proficiency, so you get Animal Handling, History, Insight, Performance, or Persuasion, or a language of your choice. So extra proficiency or language, which is nice. Born to the Saddle, just you land on your feet after getting knocked off your mount, and you can mount and dismount with only 5 feet of movement. Neat little bonuses. Level 3, Unwavering Mark. So basically, when you hit a creature with a melee weapon, you mark them until the end of your next turn. And while it's in 5 feet of you, has disadvantage on attack rolls against creatures other than you. And if a creature marked by you hits a creature other than you with an attack roll, you have advantage on attack rolls against them till the till the end of your next turn. So basically just a new way to get advantage, which is kind of crazy, as if they needed more. Now, I will say this is kind of redundant with their later feature. So I do think it should probably be changed out to be... I think the advantage should be cut, so it's not redundant with the other feature, and doesn't kind of go crazy with Vex as well. So I do think it's kind of a... I get what they're going for, but maybe it shouldn't be full advantage. Maybe it should just be a flat bonus, so it stacks with other sources of advantage and stuff. I think that would be fine. Then level 7, Warding Maneuver is still here. If creatures in 5 feet is hit by an attack roll, roll a d8 as a reaction, and add it to the AC against the attack. And if it still hits, they have resistance against the attack's damage, and you have con uses, which you regain when you finish a long rest. It's good. It just works. It's nice still. It's still a bit weird that it's like a d8 when you're a d10 hit die class, but if it's fine. Hold the line then. Creatures provoke opportunity attacks when they move in 5 feet while within reach, so even if they're still in reach, you can still opportunity attack them when they move. And when you hit a creature with an opportunity attack, its speed becomes 0. So you get a bit of the Sentinel effect, which is kind of annoying because you really want Sentinel on this build. So the redundancy here is a bit awkward, but they're just, oh, you moved? Okay, whack. No, you don't. Is very nice. And it is nice if you're not going for Sentinel for whatever reason, that you can still get that effect, but you're probably going Sentinel. So, yeah. Then Ferocious Charger. During the first round of each combat, you and your mount speeds are increased by 10 feet. Movement doesn't provoke opportunity attacks that round. And when you move in 5 feet of a creature, it has to make a strength save or be pushed 5 feet away or have the prone condition. So you can just charge through a bunch of enemies, knock them down. Which is certainly nice, even if it is a strength save, which isn't amazing, but I mean, it's still fun to just barrel through all your enemies. Then Vigilant Defender. Basically, you get an extra reaction each round, and you can only use it for opportunity attacks. So basically just free reaction every round. have fun. So definitely nice. And these three, they haven't changed much, but I think that's fine. These are mostly fine. The updates breathe some new life into them, and it's definitely nice to see these three returning. But anyway, without further ado, I will see y'all next time for the other two subclasses, and then whatever else is after that. See y'all next time. Halo Zoo, out.